Hey, what's up, guys? This is a very annoying video to have to make, but basically, if you've been following me for any amount of time, you know that I recently put downpipes on the Quadrifoglio, and I recently put an X-pipe on the Quadrifoglio. When doing the X-pipe video, which is the last video, I discovered that there were several parts that were not reinstalled on the car while the shop who did the downpipes was working on it. So basically, here's the story with all of that. When I needed to have the downpipes done on the car, there was a shop here in Denver that I wanted to go to. They're really reputable, they do a lot of great work. They didn't want to take the risk of decatting a car, and I know that folks are cracking down on that stuff. I think the EPA is actually going after shops now. So the fines are super hefty. It's not worth the risk. We don't have an established relationship. I kind of understand why they didn't want to do it. But I did get a recommendation from them. I went to their recommendation. They do a lot of fab work for this company. They've done plenty of exhausts for exotic cars. And so I thought my car was in good hands. I was happy with the turnaround, dropped my car off in the morning, got it back later that day. It was about a 4.5 hour job, reasonably priced, so I paid like $4.50. But yeah, I've had to since then go ahead and put $100 of parts back on the car that were left off. When I texted the owner about it, I didn't get a response back, so that's all been super frustrating. Anyway, fast forward from that, and dismissing those discoveries, I got the X-pipe on the car, and I thought it made the sound better than it was, but I still wasn't loving the sound of the downpipes plus the X-pipe. It just seems too raspy. It seems like it changed the tone of the car a little bit too much. So I took the car to another shop today to have the factory cats put back on. And they called me up here towards the end of the day. It took them a little while to get the car in, but they're like, hey, you know what? Your downstream O2 sensor on the driver's side is like barely attached. So that's pretty interesting, because after this first shop worked on the car and I was having an issue with that sensor, I texted them and I was like, hey, can I bring it by and can we just like swap this out? Just charge me the labor of swapping it out. They did it for free, but it's kind of making me wonder, like, did they mess with it at all? My check engine light that I've been chasing is still there. This thing is barely attached apparently, so it's not even down to like the crush washer on the O2 sensor. So yeah, I'm wondering, did they even replace that? Anyway, all of this is to say, this has just been such a frustrating, incredibly frustrating experience about a car that I work hard to pay for and all of that, and it's just very frustrating to have people not take care of your stuff and treat it the way that you would hope that they would treat it, especially when you're paying, you know, over $100 an hour for labor rates. So all of this is to say, in the morning I'm going back to the shop and they tightened everything up, and I'm going to check out the car and see how it sounds now that both the downstream driver side O2 sensor and the upstream passenger side O2 sensor were apparently super loose. So we'll go back in the morning, we're going to drive it, we're going to see how it sounds, and maybe we keep the downpipes with the X-pipe. I don't know. Maybe this like raspiness was actually like rattle from those loose parts, but we'll see. He said there's definitely an exhaust leak. The mechanic said that there's definitely an exhaust leak, so maybe this makes things sound better. Maybe this makes the light that I had go away. Now if the light doesn't go away, that's not really I mean, that's another thing to chase, right? But for me right now, going back to factory cats is all about sound. So super long intro here, not very interesting, but that's what I've been going through with the car. It's been incredibly frustrating, but this could be interesting, right? Like maybe the car sounds great, and this is the solution. So I'm gonna stop the video here for tonight. We'll roll that little intro clip that I do, and then we'll pick up in the morning with the Quadrifoglio and see how it sounds after everything's been tightened back up, and then I'll walk you guys through my thought process and the decision that I'm going to make about, do I keep the downpipes or do I go back to the factory downpipes? I don't know. Alright, see you guys in the morning. Alright, welcome to the Mini. We're going to go to the shop, check out the car, see how it sounds, let's do it. Alright, so I am coming to you from the Quadrifoglio in a neighborhood. I kind of got turned around just driving the car trying to hear what it sounds like and get my bearings straight here initially, but I'm in this like kind of nice neighborhood in the middle of nowhere. The car sounds better. The car's definitely pulling better without the exhaust leak, so that's like my first impressions. But does it sound good enough? That's what I don't know yet. And I think maybe not. So that's about 4,000 RPM, second gear. I'm not trying to drive it fast, I'm just trying to get the sound. That's what I don't love about the downpipes. God. I'm really just trying to stay in that RPM range that irritates me, or like, you know, kind of emulate that sound. What a dope house. What a cool, like, actual spot to live in. Sorry for waking everyone up here. Yeah, 30 miles per hour, like not even that fast. So you can't really make a YouTube video and be a YouTuber without making coffee, right? Kind of a rite of passage. So anyway, I'm back home, checked out the car, drove it around. I think it sounds better. I don't know if I want to keep it this way forever, but I think this is a good, like, it doesn't sound as broken. That was really the biggest thing, is the car just didn't sound good. I can deal with aggressive sounding cars. It just sounded way too unrefined. I think now it sounds better. So I'm gonna live with this for another like couple of weeks, and then we may go back to the stock cats, but we'll see. Because I don't want to give up on this combination of the X-pipe and the downpipes. So we're gonna try it out, see how it goes. I'm back home. I drove the wife's car back home. We're gonna take her car and go back and grab my car later. So I'll finish out the video with a few more sound clips and last impressions of the car after having it back, and then we'll go from there. So quick update, just got the car back, got on the highway and the check engine light's back on. So when I did my drive earlier, I didn't have an issue with the check engine light coming back on, so I thought maybe with the fastening of the O2 sensors that was gonna go away. That may not be the case now. So I'm gonna pull over, I'm gonna pull that code, and then we'll go from here. But I think part of my decision to continue with the DCAT was not wanting to necessarily chase that, not having to chase that problem anymore. But if I'm gonna have to keep chasing the O2 sensor issue to stay decatted, then it just doesn't feel worth it. So the code's a P0160, I cleared it. Let's see if it stays off now. It feels a lot tighter. But yeah. Okay, so I've got the car home. I'm gonna live with this a little bit longer. We'll see. It sounds better. It for sure sounds better. Like I said before, this car kind of sounded broken. It just wasn't sounding great. I thought that was just, you know, having been my first time running a decatted car, you're just hearing more sounds. Probably hearing the rattles, the washers, all that on the downpipes that were loose. So we'll live with it a little bit longer. We'll see what it's like, but yeah. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Would this be frustrating to you? This has been a super frustrating experience to me. Just chasing problem after problem with the one install from the shop that was supposed to be good, recommended by a highly reputable shop here. So, alright, and there's the factory midsection. So, yeah, the, whoa, nope. Yeah, so the setup that I've got right now, we'll go over it one last time since it sounded worse than it ever should have before. We'll talk about everything that I've done. So I did the catless downpipes, they're Super Sprint, bought them from Alfissimo, and then I also did the TFL midsection, which is an X pipe, bought that from Alfissimo as well. So I'll do a little bit of a drive and we'll do the different sound clips and I'll show you what it sounds like with the valves closed. It's very tame, and then I'll show you what it sounds like with the valves open. Very aggressive. Alright, let's do it. Okay, so this is Super Sprint catless downpipes, TFL X pipe, in dynamic mode with the valves closed on a Squadra Massimo tune. And this is just an example of how quiet it can be. So super tame, right? If you're driving around quickly, spiritedly, and then you need to make everything quiet for a moment, you don't want to attract too much attention to yourself, this is a nice way to do it. Just close off the valves and you're good. It is just very tame and quiet. Yeah, so I can drive with the windows fully down in the front and back. And it's this quiet driving through the neighborhood right now that I don't have to worry about speaking up at all. I should actually turn off the radar detector though. But yeah, it's super quiet. Like, I don't think that in this configuration it's any louder than my wife's Mini in sport mode. So, very tame. Alright, so I'm gonna pop it into manual and I'll put it into race. Huge difference. Huge difference. night and day different. And then I'll do a little bit of an on-ramp pull. I've got the windows up a little bit. I've got them up part way, so it won't be as obnoxious, but it pulls super hard and it's definitely loud. This is where it sounds a lot better with the X-pipe. Kind of on throttle sounds way better. So yeah, just cruising on the highway, 5th gear, 60 miles per hour. It's loud. Like if I drop it back to dynamic mode with the valves closed, this is way quieter. Hopefully the wind noise isn't too obnoxious. But what I wanted the whole time was just more presence. And I think the cats definitely give it the volume to say that there's certainly presence. So that sound that I don't like is still here if I get on it right here. But it's not as bad. It's toned down from what it was. I can live with that. It was a lot more constant before. Downshifts are just so obnoxiously awesome. Alright, so that's going to be it for this video. That's what the car sounds like now. This is the downpipes installed correctly, finally, and the TFL X-pipe. Then I'll be the jerk in this parking lot and I'll leave this video with one quick rev. The free revving sounds a lot better than it did from the factory. This is not a car that sounded great in its full factory configuration revving and race mode, but I mean, who wants to be that guy sitting around revving his car anyway? Maybe if you're buying this setup you do, but I'll do it once real quick. So it's a lot louder. Alright, thanks guys. If you like this video, go ahead and subscribe. If you want to see more content like this, more about the X-pipe situation, any of that, let me know. And then what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to make sure this check engine light is gone. So fingers crossed. Yeah, I hope we're done with that. But alright, thanks guys. See ya.